Business plan, to me, the most important benefit is the process. You thought about your budget, you thought about your market, you thought about your profit margin, you thought
Mm-hmm.
about how to go to market, you thought about the social media, you thought about all those things.
Yeah.
It's time for you to rethink and say, are these things that I thought about a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you made 50 years ago, whatever, is it still valid today?
Welcome to Curiously Stuck, the show where we unpack the stuck moments, curious leaps, and behind the scene pivots of becoming a business leader, especially when you never quite planned on being in the big seat. I'm your host, Chelsea Stuck, former sales manager, now turned brand strategist. And this episode is for those of you in the C-suite or leading teams or even building companies. Maybe you're in manufacturing, distribution, or even worlds far outside of food service, trying to make sense of the future of your business. Today, we are pulling back the curtain with someone who has helped guide institutions, retirement plans, and real humans through financial storms. Philip Chao is the Chief Investment Officer of Experiential Wealth, founder of Nexus 338 and IGPS. And he is one of the sharpest, straight-talking minds when it comes to markets, risk, and long-term thinking. He's joining me for a chat that's part economics, part mentor session, and part let's laugh so we don't cry about it. So let's dive in. What would you tell your younger self in business? Because I know you've been in business for yourself, I think most of your career, or
Yeah,
definitely a long time, as
yeah.
long as I've known you at least. Which, spoiler alert, I've known Philip since I was probably college age. Uh, so asking for a friend, what would you tell your younger self business owner? You know what? Should I be hiring right now? Should I be, hoarding money? I mean, and again, I know that to your very point that there's no crystal ball and it's an
Right.
uncertain time and all that. But, you know, what have you learned over time that you tell your younger self in my position and a lot of people out there's position? What do I do right now? Philip, save me.
Well, I would tell you some of the characteristics I think is necessary, at least from a personal standpoint. Number one, I think you've heard me say this. Casey Kasem used this statement at the end of every show: is keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And
Yes.
when I heard that, when I first started, it's cute, and I'm saying, oh god, the show is over. I really wanted to listen to the top 40, and it's all the yakety yak. Who cares about that?
Shut up, Casey Kasem. I just
Exactly.
want
I
to
don't
hear the
care.
song.
I don't care. What about stars and feet and ground and all that? Let's move on. Right. So
Whatever.
as we go through life, as we finally mature and gain some portion of wisdom, hopefully, that statement rings true to me almost every day. And what I mean by that, especially during this time, we need to remain anchored. Uncertainty have a way of making us unanchored. And then uncertainty have a way of saying, let's give up our dream, let's give up our stars, let's give up, it's not worth it, or what have you. Kind of defeat us.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my goodness, I'm only 10 years away from retirement. What a time to give me this kind of horrible situation, and I don't want to do that. Or I just started out and I couldn't even find a job, or the job I find is no good, or I'm threatened to whatever one situation is. In business, I think what I mean by keep your feet on the ground is to make sure you have ample reserve. Make sure that if you don't have ample reserve, you have a line of credit, because liquidity, as you know well, anybody in business knows well, is really important, because you don't know what hits the fan, and you don't know when it will hit the fan. And when that hit the fan, you need money.
Yeah.
So having access to it is really important. Right? That's number one.
Yeah.
We may go into a recession by the end of this year. I'm not predicting it. It's not my base case, but we could. And when we go into recession, meaning higher unemployment, means fewer people are going to come to your store, your company, your whatever, your website,
Right. Your restaurant, etc. Yep.
all of it. Number two, if they show up, they're going to buy less,
Hmm.
and they're going to show up fewer times. I mean, that's what a recession happens, because high unemployment, economic malaise,
Travel cutbacks,
all that, all that. We're hunkering down. During that time, you're trying to keep all your employees, because you are caring person and your staff have been loyal and they have their families. You are trying very much to do the best that you can to keep the group together, because you say This will be over, and I really don't want to start hiring new people again. So money, having the amount of liquidity, it's important, right? So I would say that's number one, is keep your feet on the ground, but continue to think what's next, because there are going to be opportunities. You've been thinking about expanding your restaurant, and your next door decided that they're leaving. They're not working. They're closing their whatever store it is next door. And your landlord is seeing a lot more of their tenants leaving. Hey, it's time for you to talk to him about maybe you can lower the rent, and also I'll take over more space, and I'm going to, whatever. I don't know. I'm
Sure.
making it up. But the idea is that there are opportunities that happens if you are in a good place, if you are a safe place first, you can still reach for the star. You can still do it. Because what is the best time to buy a straw hat is in the winter. But unfortunately, most people don't buy it. When it's going up, when it's getting more and more expensive, they say, "Boy, I want to chase it." We're always chasing. Right? So that was just an example of opportunity set that may show up that you don't even realize unless you have the right framework and open-mindedness and say, "I didn't think about that.
Hmm.
There is actually a message here that is up to me to pick it up." And I picked it up. Doesn't mean you're going to be perfect and guaranteed to be right, right? So first you have to have trust in yourself and have that confidence. Once you have that, you can work proudly and you can work straight and you can walk down the street. And then keep all the possibilities open. So you're seeing things not from a single lens of despair and uncertainty, but opportunity as well.
I think it's a really great way to frame it. And I think that it's really important to hear that message because you're right. And again, yeah, I said it earlier and I'll say it again, between now and when even this episode launches, so many things could have changed
Yes.
along the way.
Yes.
We could everyone listening right now might be just having a party because woohoo, somehow everything got reversed or changed or I don't know, take your pick. But again, I think, keeping, that forward motion, not getting distracted by it. I mean, I'm a news junkie, and even I, for sake of what I'm focused on right now with my own, career goals and things like that, I've started tuning it out for the moment
Yeah.
just because, I'm not in control of this. There's not a lot I can do about it. But what I can do is keep evolving the business, like launching a podcast like
Right.
this, right?
Right.
And
Right.
looking at the long term goal. And so that's the advice I always try to give my clients of, you know, especially when it comes to marketing or sales or any of that. It is there's a long tail on what you need to do, and you need to be thinking about planting the seed now for what you want to happen in 30, 60, 90, sometimes 18 months. When I worked in manufacturing, I mean, major projects, to your very point, it's kind of funny how that 18-month thing always comes back up. But a lot of projects, 18 months was the life cycle to get it to fruition. And so, the stuff I would work on now as a sales manager would be for the jobs and the deals and all of the relationships that I wanted to be, harvesting, so to speak, right? Or bearing the fruits of the labor a year and a half from now.
Yeah.
And so that's how I've always run my business. And, it means sometimes that I've, done things for very discounted or free or for, it's the right thing to do, or just because, hey, I need to learn something now that's going to help me later. And it's good, I think, from someone who understands the numbers so much more than I do, as well as the economy. It's good to hear that that kind of thinking is, where we should be headed. So,
For me, I think this is the time. My business is a very different business, so not for
sure.
my business, but this will be something I would think about. Two things. Um, it's time to review your business plan if you have one. If you don't have one, you should ask, why don't I have one? Right? And the beauty of a business plan is not that it looks beautiful and is neatly typed or have a graph or charts in it. Business plan, to me, the most important benefit is the process. You thought about your budget, you thought about your market, you thought about your profit margin. You thought
Mm-hmm.
about how to go to market. You thought about the social media. You thought about all those things.
Yeah.
It's time for you to rethink and say, are these things that I thought about a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you made 50 years ago, whatever, is this still valid today? And it's through this discussion with your partners, with your key employees, with other people who are your advisors, and say, this is my business plan. I'm thinking of opening a restaurant, or I'm thinking of opening a food service operation, or a food truck, whatever.
Sure.
Are my assumptions still correct? And is the destination still there? uh, I should challenge my assumptions. Right? This is what we do in investment. It's the same thing. I mean, investing is a philosophy. I know people don't think of it that way. It's really philosophical. And we should question every single thing that we originally thought is what is going to happen. You should check it. Right? So this, as you heard me say this as a fiduciary to retirement plans, we have a duty to monitor, or if you like President Reagan, trust but verify. You trust your your business plan.
Sure.
Let's verify, make sure it is still at the same place. So that's one. I think I would recommend everybody
That's a great
during
point.
this time,
Great
right?
point.
To talk to your partners, to co-shareholders, your spouse, whomever. Do it. If you can get an outsider to come in to bring different perspective, that's really great too. And have him or her challenge you on your assumptions. Let me challenge you. Why did you hire that person? What do you expect out of that? Has this changed in any way? Have you seen opportunity set that you didn't see before? Justify it to me.
You're making the exact right point. And the truth is, I did just hire someone. And I literally had one or two people say, well, should you be doing that right now with all this going on? And I said, absolutely. I need to do it right now because here's the goal. Here's where we're going. Here's where I want to be in a year and a half, 2 years. In my heart of hearts, I knew that it was the right business move. Now, sure, of course, there'll be things that I'm sure along the way that, like you said, there's no crystal ball and I'll discover. But I found myself defending that decision, but it was a good gut check. I
Right.
mean, it was a discussion I had with my husband then, and I had with myself.
Kicking your own tires of your own car to make sure it's still solid and it's still working and that your assumption haven't changed. Or if it is different, then golly, you should do something about that. So that's one.
Yeah.
Number two, quick on your feet and able to pivot. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to keep telling yourself you're right and actually it's wrong. And really not only you pay for it, your entire company pay for it. That's not acceptable.
Amen.
So being an entrepreneur, vis-a-vis working for corporate America, is that you're able to make decisions quickly, hopefully it's informed decision, and pivot quickly, right? Something about corporate America is that not on my watch. Things are just fine. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to get fired, yada, 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 right? We don't have that luxury if you run a small, medium-sized business,
No.
right? So you live by the sword, you die by the sword, but it is through risk-taking that your reward is going to be commensurate. And my father used to say that there is no such thing as treading water. In this world, it's either moving forward or going backwards. There's no treading water because when you tread water, people are moving in front of you. So ability to understand the assumption you make, ability to challenge your own assumptions, and having the courage and the honesty to be wrong. To be wrong. It's okay. I'd rather you tell me I'm wrong so I don't keep going down that path. It's a good trait. It's a good trait, right? So having outside parties, third parties to come and challenge you and not feel angry, and it's okay. And just because you were successful yesterday doesn't mean you're going to be successful tomorrow. So be open-minded and learn from everybody, right? So that's one. And then number two is pivot.
If I can jump in there, you said this to me the other day, and because we were talking actually about planning in this podcast, and you made a very, very valid point. And when you're a small to medium sized business, that whole idea of pivoting is so much more accessible to you
Right.
than to a large corporation.
Yes.
You are getting 5 people in line, 15 people in line, maybe even 30. You know what I mean? Like you can define small, medium business a lot of
Right.
different ways. very different than 10,000 employees,
Exactly.
1,000 employees, multiple locations all over the world. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that. Is there anything that you want to expand from our discussion the other day about that?
Having a small business is a lot of fun because that's
Most
all you.
days.
Well,
Like, I don't know, Philip.
one of the things is that you understand the result very quickly. I mean, you got the reaction like really quick, right? Not like a big corporation, right? You make some decisions that, oops, that was wrong,
Well,
or great, that was right.
that cost me a steak dinner.
I would say that it's really finding that balance between grit and stick to itness,
Sure.
which is so important. So you need to have grit, and you need to say, you're going to put me stop here. I'm going to go around you this way, and I'm going to go around you that way because I know that's the destination I want. So you got to have that, but you also have to keep questioning yourself as you build that confidence, that desire to say, is this still the road that I want to travel? Am I bringing the rest of the people on my team down a rabbit hole that we won't get out? So
Okay.
it's not, to the public, it's tremendous amount of confidence and yes, I know what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. But internally, you need to challenge yourself, right? And the small business, you can do that and you can pivot. And there's nothing embarrassing about it. You are the one who's taking the risk and you should make that decision. And you should make that decision, educated decision, informed decision, but do it, right? Lingering is not the answer. But if you confuse lingering with grit, that's even worse, right? So I think that we know ourselves the best is, can we be honest with ourselves? And if we cannot be honest with ourselves, then because of our character trait, then we need to recognize that and have somebody who can be honest with us. So first you have to recognize that that is a benefit and that you are going to be okay with it. And then find the right person. And that right person doesn't even have to be in your industry.
Sure.
It's that right person who will challenge you and ask you, why you still going down that path? Where are you going? The future is how we shape it. The future is not how it shapes us. And I know it's not easy. I know there will be people who heard this, listen to this. They are on edge of getting out of business, on the edge of giving up. And I would say that please try a different perspective. Try a different framework. Talk to somebody that you respect. Have them challenge your assumption. Is it really the dead end road? Is this the end of an era or a generation? Or is there a way for us to find a path forward? I can't tell you what that path is because I'm not in their business, whoever listening. But I bet you creative minds can put their minds together and not only pass this period, but really come out the other end better. There's going to be success story out of this. I just don't know who it is. I don't know what industry it is, but I can feel it. I know that people are only as limited as their mind are able to reach somewhere further, push ourselves.
It's so important. And, I feel like we've been on a emotional roller coaster, just like the stock market during
That's right.
this.
No, that's right.
But but the point is that as you summed it up, that there will be people that will be successful out of this. And it
Yes.
is about, pivoting and looking at what you're doing now and being positive about that, utilizing all the resources around you, the people around you, to rethink things. And I think half the time, and I mean, listen, I got in my own way for a long time just about even doing a podcast. I mean, look, we produce podcasts, we produce your podcast, and I kept thinking I had to be at a certain place or, whatever, take your pick of reason. And I finally looked at myself, this spring and said, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing it, for better or for worse,
Right.
and we're going to plow forward. And um, it was a really good reminder to me, and I think to our listeners out there, to not let that little noise in the back of your brain or on the news or wherever it's coming from, silence it sometimes, and just keep move forward, get a fresh perspective, And, chances are you'll figure it out. You got to this place. And that's what I reminded myself, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that we need to enter areas that we are uncomfortable. And it's through entering those places that we grow.
I had a conversation with someone earlier today and they said, I just want 1 year where I'm not uncomfortable. Now they use much more colorful language than I'm using right
I'm sure.
now.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
But it highlighted the point of like, there's always going to be a level of uncertainty, whether it's coming from the government side or it's coming from the weather. I mean, take your pick, right? COVID was something none of us saw coming, right? And it made us all very uncomfortable for a long time in a lot of different ways. Unless you were in Florida, then you just pretended like
Nothing
it
happened.
was nothing. Nothing. I went down there at one point and I remember going, huh, okay, this is real.
It's a different world. It's a different
It
world,
was a
right?
different world.
But it's a different world because their perspective is different. Their frame of reference is different. So it's not that it's a different world.
Yeah,
You change your perspective, you change your world.
absolutely, 100%. And that was on full display in the way that it was being managed and handled and travel and all of that. And if anything, let that all be a lesson to all of us,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. It's been a challenging few years, and then we just finally got out of it, and now we are going into a different perspective, but still very challenging. I
Sure.
mean, let me not make this sound like it's a piece of cake. No, none of this is a piece of cake. This is about knowing yourself. It's learning about yourself, learning about your fear, your aspiration, your comfort zone. All about yourself, and that's scary for people. It's really scary. They don't want to know about oneself. They're good where they were. But it is
Yeah.
through challenging yourself to learn about who you are and how you make decisions and why you make decisions and be open to other people who challenge you that make you a better person, a better leader, a better business person, I think.
I love it. I love it. I am so thankful and really, can't say enough about it's always interesting and fun to get your perspective on things.
Thank you.
Sometimes a little bit over my head, sometimes right where it lands, it's a little bit of a gamble, but no, I say that jokingly and that I really respect, so much of the thought, the time and effort you put into studying these things and then educating those of us around you on, what we should care about, what we should pay attention to. And with all the uncertainty and everything that's happening right now, I just really appreciate you taking the time to
Oh,
share with me and our viewers how we should be framing our thoughts going into the summer of 2025.
trust in yourself and go back to this. Keep your feet on the ground, very steady, and keep reaching for your stars. And I think to me, it's just a beautiful thing when you take that statement and really think about it, give you the balance, which is really what we need.
Well, thank you. And we will definitely, viewers out there, keep reaching for the stars, as Philip said.